Scary Ex-Friend Stories. These stories have been sent in by subscribers or by friends of mine. If you'd like to have your story narrated, consider posting on my subreddit page. These videos contain disturbing elements. Viewer discretion is advised. She wanted my father. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm sharing this and actually sending it in, but here goes. I had a childhood best friend that I considered to be my sister. She was part of every stage of my life, and my parents jokingly referred to her as the third daughter or third child. I'm a 20-year-old male, not that it matters. I have an older brother, and my parents always wanted a daughter too. It's just how things went. We were best friends, and our friendship survived many different stages of our lives. I thought she would be my friend when we were both old and grey. My brother is 23, and he and my best friend started dating. I gotta admit, it was a little weird at first, and I was worried about what would happen if they ever broke up. But I also know my brother is a good guy and would also never do anything to hurt her. And I wish I could say the same about her. To be fair, if things did work out for them, it would have been perfect since she was already a member of our family. They were dating for around 9 months, and everything looked to be fine. There was no signs of any problems. As a family, we all had each other's cell numbers for a long time now. It's normal. Out of the blue, she started trying to get the family on Snapchat, and my parents didn't want to use it, being boomers and all. Getting my parents to upgrade anything or change is difficult, but eventually they did. I'd get random emojis from them all the damn time. My parents love sitting on the couch together and sending cheesy, romantic emojis and little videos to each other. This next part is based on what I've heard. I never personally saw the messages, and I'm relying on that. My best friend added my parents and joined the family chat group. We would post random updates, pictures, memes, and other things in the chat. My brother and best friend went to the beach together and posted a lot of pictures. I scrolled down so I wouldn't have to look at the notification alert. My best friend was in a bikini, and there was nothing weird about that. She then DM'd my dad, asked him what he thought, and he said that he thought she looked nice. My dad can be pretty oblivious when it comes to women flirting with him. I'm the same way. She sent a couple more. Each picture got more and more lewd. She was still technically covered, but the intention had clearly changed. My dad told me there was a text message with, "What do you think?" with a teasing kiss emoji. My dad wasn't upset about this. He told me he thought she intended to send them to my brother, and tell my mum about it. My dad told her he sent it to the wrong, insert our last name here. He was trying to be good-natured and not embarrass her. She messaged back and told him that, no, she did in fact send it to the right one. My dad was worried about this. He showed it to my mom and was shocked. My parents were worried that maybe her phone or account had been hacked into, or someone had stolen her phone. My dad said this wasn't okay, and whoever it was to give the phone back to my best friend. She sent back a winking emoji in response. My parents are close and have always had a very strong marriage. They were concerned about my best friend, and also what this would end up doing to me and my brother. Both of them knew they couldn't not tell us. We were called down for a family meeting, and we both complained about it. We didn't think it would be life-changing. This is when I found everything out. My dad showed my brother and I the messages. We didn't believe it was her at first. She couldn't do this to us. She would never. My brother wanted to make sure it was her before dumping her, so he called her. She picked up and they spoke. I'm surprised my brother held it together because I would have lost it at her. He asked where she was and what she'd been up to. She said she was home alone and they video chatted. Sure enough, she was at her parents' house in her room, and from what we could see, she was completely alone. no one could have taken her phone. He asked her outright if she sent those pictures to our dad. We were all in the room and could hear everything she said. She told him that our dad wanted her to send them, and that she had to do it or he threatened to make up lies about her. I couldn't believe my best friend would lie to us like this, or to throw my dad under the bus when he didn't do anything wrong. I was hurt. I'm still hurt over it. My mum thought of her like a daughter, the daughter she never had. There are so many different levels to the betrayal. No one in my family wanted to meet with her, but I did, one last time. She told me she was sorry, that it would never happen again. She missed my family and we all meant so much to her. I asked her why, again and again, and she wouldn't give me an answer. This went on for over an hour. I left. I couldn't do it anymore. I was done. I hate what she did to our family, but we are strong. I miss my friend every single day. But I feel even more guilty about bringing her around them in the first place. They keep telling me it isn't my fault and not to worry. I can't help it though. I looked at her social media recently. There were old posts about losing faith in humanity and being disappointed in people around the time the whole thing went down. As though my family was somehow wrong about this. That's my crazy ex-best friend story. I hate how it ended, but it had to. Left me there. Written by Anonymous. I was left alone at a park in the bad side of town by my ex-best friend and extended friend group. This is what happened. This story brings up so many terrible memories for me it is hard to go through, and some parts I don't really want to go into detail about. I hope you can understand why. There was a time in my life when I ran pretty wild. Partying, drinking, and all the things that came with it. I was failing at school, and a lot of my school friends were doing the same. I wasn't innocent. I know I could be an absolute bitch to people. My best friend told me about a party that was happening during the school week. Not that I cared. My parents tried to keep me home. I screamed at them and pushed them out of the way. Nothing ever stopped me from going out. I grabbed a lift with some friends, and they were already drinking in the car. I joined in. I wasn't one to turn down a drink for anything. I was pumped for the party, and screamed with happiness when I saw my best friend there. She was already dancing and having a good time. When she saw me, she ran up, hugged me, and told me we were in for a wild night. And we certainly were. We were partying and having an amazing night. There are about 30 people there. Maybe some more, maybe less. I was having the time of my life. We were playing drinking games, and I had a little too much to drink. And when I say too much, I got blackout drunk. I woke up the next day surrounded by trash and bottles. I didn't have my phone with me or anything. I was missing half my clothes. I didn't know at the time what had happened. I was so scared and sick. There are a few people around, but I saw a woman walking her dogs and she called my parents for me. They were so angry with me, but they were happy I was safe. I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to get home and relax. So when I got home, I drank a lot of water, washed my face, even though I couldn't get the dye off, and slept for hours. My friends had written crude words on my face and just left me there. When I woke up, my parents spoke to me about what happened and I told them. I regretted my decisions and I still felt so sick. And it was for the first time in years I cried in front of my parents. A genuine cry. I wanted to know what had happened. I pranked people before, but I've never left them anywhere dangerous or did anything that could seriously mess up with their health. Or right on their damn face with Texter. Since I didn't have my phone, I logged into the computer and into MSN. Normally I'd log in and get a heap of messages, but this time, there were barely any at all. I messaged my best friend and asked what happened. She sent me back some laughing emojis, and then sent me pictures she took of me being passed out, with text marks all over my face. I talked to some more people and they sent me the same images. From the looks of things, no one tried to stop them. No one tried to help me. I was left there and anything could have happened to me. The pictures were posted online as well. Sometimes I see them pop up again and it hurts. The bullying at school meant I had to change schools because it followed me everywhere. Then I had to leave that school too. Eventually, I ended up being homeschooled. I didn't want to go out anymore. I used to love going shopping or clubbing. Sometimes I managed it, only to find out the person I was now friends with was also friends with one of my high school ex-friends. Their bullying was online too. I had to make some new accounts to escape it. I made some online friends in various online communities. It didn't help though. I became a shell of a person. I now have a lot of anxiety and I'm scared to leave the house, just in case I run into someone from high school. With any new people, I'm worried they will find out and stop being my friend. I've had to have a lot of therapy in order to recover from what happened. I still get nightmares about it. And some people have reached out over social media to apologize for what happened years ago. I don't know how I feel about it. They emotionally tortured me for years when I didn't do anything to them. They have the damn audacity to expect me to ease their conscience and reassure them that they're good people? No! They can pay my therapy bills if they're serious about it. It hurts how I now need to do the job to heal and get well. It all feels incredibly unfair. As for my ex-best friend, I haven't seen or heard anything from her. I blocked her and everything after what she put me through. I have heard she still finds what happened to me funny and brings it up to whoever will listen. I trusted her. She clearly didn't care about me, and I can't believe she did that to me. Who knows what could have happened to me when I was left out there alone and drunk. I hope karma catches up with her someday. I hate her, and all my old friends for how they treated me. No one stuck up for me or tried to help either. I could have been killed or worse. That is how I stopped being friends with my best friend, and the group of people I thought were my friends. I thought I had a lot of friends I could rely on and who cared for me, but it was all a lie. I've made friends since then. Nothing has gotten rid of the scars they have left behind though. She hurt my dog. I want to be anonymous but share what happened with my crazy ass ex-friend. I don't know why she did any of the things she did to me. I've always tried to do my best for her and wanted nothing more than to be a good friend to her. I'm going to change her name in the off chance she will find out about this. I'll call her Jamie, and we were polar opposites to each other. You could say I was a quiet, well-mannered person, while Jamie was loud, rude, and outgoing. No matter the situation. It was something I liked about her. She didn't worry about what anybody thought of her. She was a rebel, and I tended to obey the rules a lot more. Jamie would do irresponsible things, and I would always end up rescuing her. If she lied to her parents, I would cover for her. If she got in trouble with teachers, I wouldn't snitch on her. At first, things were harmless. She would message me and ask me to cover for her if her parents were giving her trouble about whatever it was. Jamie was irresponsible when it came to her pets, laughing about forgetting to feed them or give them water. Keep in mind, I live in a hot climate, where it's important to regularly check to see if the animals have enough water to drink. I've always loved animals, and hate seeing any kind of abuse or neglect. It was the first time I yelled at her about anything. She had an adorable little puppy that she got bored with it because, and I quote, it pooped too much, and she had to actually take care of it. I can't remember what stupid name she gave her, but she ended up calling her Fuzzball. She offered Fuzzball to me one day, and I brought the puppy home with me. At first my parents weren't happy about it, but they understood once I told them. My parents also told me to get my paperwork to show I own the dog now. We got the dog registered with the local council. I didn't understand why back then. I don't think they liked her very much, but I always defended my friend. Nothing happened during the next couple of months. When Jamie came over, she would always say that my dog was still her dog and it annoyed me. I told her she was now mine because Jamie didn't want to look after her. Most of the time, I would give in to whatever Jamie said to me. Jamie yelled back at me, kicked my dog and threw her into the pool. My dog is one of those small, long-haired breeds, and it didn't take her long to start sinking to the bottom. I leapt in fully dressed after Fuzzball, held her in my arms and took her out. She was struggling to breathe and finally coughed the water back up. I was so scared for her, constantly telling her it would be okay and that she was safe. Meanwhile, Jamie was laughing her head off and thought it was so funny that she nearly killed my dog. It was her actually going out of her way to mess with a living creature. I hated her so much. I screamed at her she could have died. Jamie shrugged and said she didn't care. I couldn't be friends with someone like this. Maybe if she'd shown some level of remorse for her actions, I might have given her a second chance. But no, she didn't. I told her to get out of my house and to never come back. Jamie looked stunned, but left, swearing the entire time as she did so. She blasted me over social media, made up rumors about me at school, and turned my friend group against me. She would bully me whenever I was at school, and even managed to push me down the stairs. There was a period of time when I was alone, and it was a hard couple of months because she was so damn vindictive towards me. Eventually, it got better. Some people found out about what she did and cut her off, while other people didn't seem to worry that much about it. I'm stronger for it. I stopped being such a pushover with people, and I also stopped excusing bad behavior towards me too. I'd rather be by myself than have a shitty friend. Either way, Furball is now an old Furball and has been happy with me for many years. Losing one friend meant I gained a lifelong fur friend, one who considers my feelings and is nice to be around. I can't imagine life without my dog. I hope Jamie has grown up, but she hasn't. She still avoids her responsibilities and is still a shitty person. She has kids now, and I hope she treats them much better than she does animals. I wish nothing but the worst for her, and I hope she never owns an animal. Jamie, I know the name has changed, but you are a terrible human being. I still hate you, and I want the worst for you. Scary Gaming Friend. Sent in by Anonymous. I used to game a lot with a group of friends I met online. We used to play Left 4 Dead 2 and other games like that, and we had a lot of fun together. Eventually we branched into playing other games as well, and we would often speak together on Skype or TeamSpeak. This was quite a while ago, and before Discord became more popular. Some of the group lived close enough to meet each other in real life too. There was a group of us that would play or who would join the call while the others were gaming. I was dating one of the men in the group. We'll call him Chris, and things were going pretty well. We'd spend time alone talking with each other, and then we would go hang out with the rest of the friend group. Chris had a friend who became one of mine. We'll call her Sadie. She was always his best friend, and I had no issues with this. Sadie would constantly bug us when we were on a date or had any alone time together. I didn't say anything at the time, but she would always have some catastrophe right when we were having an anniversary or some other important occasion. Chris wanted to be a good friend to her, and so did I. So the first couple of times we would stop what we were doing to spend time with her. But it just kept happening. We were on a romantic date and she would show up crying about something. When she came in, she flopped on the couch and cried loudly, begging us to stay the night. I told Chris that this needs to stop, so we talked to her and told her we couldn't drop everything for her. She was angry with me and blamed me. At first she refused to talk to me, and then started doing passive-aggressive little jabs at me constantly. I ignored her, thinking she would drop it eventually. Chris' birthday was coming up soon and I wanted to get him something nice. I told the other girls in the group about it. It was silly, but it was a box of chocolates he got for me when we first started dating, and he hadn't had them since. It was small, but very sentimental to us. Sadie heard about it and went and bought it for him. I told her that I wanted to get it for him special, and she told me I was being ridiculous. Chris didn't really answer me when I told him about it, and said he was happy to spend the night with me. So I focused on that instead. We went out to dinner, and I heard the infamous beeps that I was getting messages. I saw my phone had all the group messages, and I ignored it. The night wore on, and we decided to relax at home. Then Sadie started calling and texting both of us. She wouldn't stop even when we told her we were busy. We both muted her and focused on enjoying the night together. Chris got up to get some drinks for us when he saw his phone light up. He asked me to check his messages for him, and it wasn't strange for us to do this as a couple either. I couldn't believe the amount of unread messages he had from her. During this time, Sadie sent him news and told him to break up with me. I was done. I was so effing done with her after that. I messaged her and told her to stay the hell away from me. Chris told her no, and eventually he blocked her. She tried contacting us through mutual friends, and to avoid issues, we made a new gaming group. I started getting random phone calls and texts late at night. She started sending pictures of her cutting herself and told me it was my fault this was happening. That if she ended up in hospital it was because I was a bad friend and that I hated her. That nothing would have happened if I didn't flip out, and I should have let her come over, about how mean I was being, etc. I do my best to try to help everyone, even strangers, but I have limits of what kind of behavior I will tolerate. I ignored her despite how hard it was. A part of me felt guilty. I talked to some other friends and they said her behavior was not normal, and what she did was really messed up. Chris was sad about it, and went over to her house to see if she was okay. They'd been friends for a long time, and I knew he felt horrible about it. He came back and told me she blamed me for everything. Later on that night, I received multiple messages from Sadie wanting to be friends again. I kept deleting and blocking her, again and again. She sent me messages saying she wanted to talk about this like adults, and I was behaving like a child for not answering her. She made some snide comments about insecurities I had told her, and later that she was done with me. I heard later on she made Facebook statuses about the trash taking itself out, and I was a horrible B-word and all that. Sadie was also saying I only wanted to talk to her because I was useful and that I was jealous of her. It quietened down when Chris told people what Sadie had done, and they got his side of the story. I haven't heard from or seen Sadie in years, not that I want to either. Chris and I didn't end up staying together, not that I expected us to. We broke up over something unrelated. I've heard him and Sadie are friends again. I'm still in touch with some of the other friends and others that have moved on. It happens. I have happier friendships now, and whenever I tell people this story, they're always amazed that someone could behave this way. A Fantasy Life. Sent in by Anonymous. Hi, okay, here is my story. I was friends with my former best friend for 13 years. We were primary and high school best friends, and we were inseparable from each other. We would sleep over each other's houses, go on family holidays together, and most of my happy childhood memories have him in them. It's hard to think that I won't have new memories with him in it. I cherish the person he was, hope he'll become a better person again, and love him from a distance to protect myself. I knew that sometimes our respective boyfriends and girlfriends would get concerned about how close we were. We'd reassure them that we were friends, and wanted the best partner for the other. There was no way I was going to mess with my ex-best friend's happiness. My feelings for my friend were always platonic, never romantic, and I never flirted with him. He was someone I could always rely on to be there for me. And I would always be there for him, no matter what was going on. Out of the blue, I received a text message from his girlfriend. We were friends, and spent a lot of time together. But we were not super close, but we talked now and then. Pretty casual. She asked if I had some time to talk about something. She was a sweet person, and we're both introverts. So I'm happy she understood to ask and not just call me. I said, sure. She typed for a long time and I groaned to myself. I think I picked my book back up to read it while I heard the vibrating sound of my phone. She found a secret Reddit account of his. And no, I'm not going to link it or post any reference to it for privacy reasons. Essentially, it was a fanfiction of him and I being together. It was weird, and she was understandably upset by it. As I read, she told me it got extremely graphic, and he would even do intimate acts on me that he knows I'm wholeheartedly against. I can't go into detail about specifics for obvious reasons. Either way, it was something I told him in private. Sure, it was fiction, but it was so incredibly creepy. I asked her for screenshots and she delivered. I got the screenshots and decided to fact check for myself. I don't tend to trust things I see or hear right away, so I continued to do some more snooping, just to be on the safe side. I found that it went back years, and mentioned private things about our friendship and me that I never told anyone but him. He gave us both code names, and I doubt people would have been able to work it out. In the story, he said how he would lift my shirt while I was sleeping to look at me naked, or he would spike my drink with things. For someone you care about to even think this, it was horrible to read. I cried, thanked her, and told her I needed some time to think about this. I talked to my other best friend. I'll call her Kathy. I met her years ago, and she doesn't take prisoners when it comes to advice. Kathy said he was a creep, but for me to talk to him because she thought I needed closure, and to get any possible evidence. Or at least hear his side of the story. And she was right. I wanted to know why he did it, and just what went through his mind when he wanted to write something like this. I hated the idea of ending the friendship, but there are some things you can't tolerate. He contacted me before I had a chance to message him, begging me to forgive him. His girlfriend broke up with him. I demanded to know what was going through his head. He told me it was just a fantasy and for me to not worry about this. Keep in mind, he had never, ever shown this side of himself. He was always supportive and validated my feelings. He told me one day he knew we would be together and start dating anyway. That I was already his. Already his? I couldn't believe it when he told me that. He never told me or gave any sign he was interested in me. I hated him so much in this moment. All the times I trusted him and relied on him to be there for me. It all felt so slimy, so sneaky, and it just ruined everything. I told him to get out and that I don't want to see him ever again. He tried talking to my parents about it, and they wanted us to repair the friendship, until I told them what happened and they agreed. It was horrible. A massive part of my life having to be cut out. I didn't feel comfortable talking to his family, even though they became like my own. They expressed to me how disappointed they were in him. It has been 2 years now since I've seen or heard from him. I wonder how he is doing, and hope he doesn't do this with any other friend of his. I still believe he's a good person deep down. I just can't be friends with someone like that. It isn't easy making friends now, and I doubt I'll ever find a friend I was this close to. And that cuts me deeply. Josh, if you ever happen to read this, I wish you well, but my friends and family do not. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Don't forget to stab the like button, comment, subscribe, and smack the bell. I would like to thank As the Raven Dreams for the amazing thumbnail. I would like to thank my channel members, Patreons, subscribers, and all my viewers. Thank you so much for supporting me. Follow me on social media, and all my links are available in the description below. Stay safe, my little spooklings. And remember, I'll be watching you.